Climate change as a topic is, of course, very challenging to narrate as a story. It is an entanglement of stories that, of course, reach into the past, into the present, but also into the future. And it's for every individual that really tries to sort of tell the story, to pick out the relevant sort of pieces of information. So assembling the story is an incredible challenge.
Climate change is so huge. It's like it's such a big topic that people need to care about, but it's very difficult to pierce through all these noises and narratives to get the impact. So then we said, you know what, let's collaborate together and see how we can maximize impact.
The most challenging thing in reporting about climate change that we have a lot of data and we have a lot of science research, and at the same time you should have the people engaged after publishing the stories. Journalism is about people's story.
I think the hardest part about talking about climate change and making work related to climate change is that it's related to a lot of things. And then I feel the bigger question always is, how do you address this complexity and all the crises?
It's hard to tell the stories and to get people interested and willing to read about them. Or it is stories that are extremely local and showing initiative or agency in that case, but that then don't necessarily address structural problems. And I think there's a challenge in telling stories that don't put the emphasis on just individuals, so that show all the entanglements of things, but still also give power into changing things, proposing new policies and acting on that.
So we need to innovate and renew our thinking and think outside of the box. And for that reason, I think we need to build bridges between storytellers and see how these storytellers can be connected to each other to amplify the story in a way that people are informed and can take decisions for their future, become resilient to things, have a voice. I hope that this collaboration is a start maybe of cross-fertilization between the journalism domain and the art domain alike, and that it can inspire also newsrooms and maybe also artistic institutes to come more closer together.
It is actually a nice experience to come here and to find actually intersections between art and journalism, and I think that it is a complementary work. We come up with the ideas, but we have difficulties to actually bring the ideas into the people, to tell the story and to visualize it.
We are facing this climate urgency and the climate crisis already. There's no way we can solve these problems on our own. So the essence of it is collaborating together. Sometimes it's like a collaboration like this, but can also be any other way. And I think to train people and to sort of offer this collaboration, that's incredibly powerful, because it's empowering also for the people who are doing it, understanding that we are really already at a point where there's almost no return. And I think with this also projects, we would like to offer some slow down in a way that people also start reflecting a bit more, and it actually offers a space where people exchange experiences, perspectives, and so forth.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Boris van Westering. I'm an independent climate development expert. That's a self-invented profession, by the way. You can all become this. I hope to kick off this session to talk about a project that we have done together with ARIJ and the Royal Academy of Art with the Faculty of Law and Narrative. I welcome also everybody online. Please ask your questions, and I would like to especially thank the people from the Royal Academy of Art who are maybe zooming in, especially Niels Schneider, Lauren Alexander, and Rosie Heinrich. I hope you're watching. It's really happening, so I'm very glad. Maybe to take you back, because we just watched a video of the collaboration that we did between investigative journalists and artists from the Royal Academy like a couple of months ago. But last year, exactly 1 year ago, I was sitting at the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, and there something struck me when I was sitting there. And what struck me is that in the COP setting, there is no room for investigative journalists whatsoever to have a space to tell their stories and to create a certain level of climate accountability. Also knowing that the COP28 will be in Dubai the following year, actually today it's happening, we thought, like, you know, in this restricting environment of the Middle East, we need to empower investigative journalists much more. And what is more difficult than telling the climate story? I think climate journalists among you, they're all struggling on how to tell it in a compelling way. So this is why we sat together. We had a coffee with Munir. Welcome on stage.
Thank you.
Munir Al-Khatib, your editor-in-chief at ARIJ, of course. And we were talking together. I still remember that day. I had a swollen foot because I had new shoes. It was really terrible. I was crying out, and I thought,
He was crying.
let's sit together, and how can we make sure that next year investigative journalists can rule and come back on stage at the COP setting and tell new innovative stories. Let's do it together. And then we thought, let's bring artists together with journalists. And you said, yes, let's do it. Why did you choose that? Why did you become enthusiastic?
Why? I don't know exactly why. But, but I was, you know, we have a problem in storytelling in Arabic, not only about climate. So it's very difficult to have a content, scientific data, and to put it in the context in a story that is appealing for people. This is a challenge. We have it in all our stories. But when we came up with the idea, and I said, okay, let's give it a try, let's give it a chance. I didn't believe that the journalists will accommodate to this or will react positively, because they've done a great job. They were tired from the story, and they finished the story, and they think, no, khalas, it's over with them. So to have designers working on this, so I thought it's in the designers' playground, and they will do the work, and that's it. So it was not a complete idea. But before I talk more about the idea, I want to thank the journalists who are not on the stage, who worked on the story. Ithar Al-Azam, Ahmed Ashur, Yasser Makhtoum, Muhammad Kumani, our colleagues who helped the artists in putting the information into a visual pieces that is more comprehensible. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but today I knew why we did this. I was with one of the journalists in the exhibition, and he told me that we had a story and we were talking about mosaic, about farming, about water, about potash. And I thought, how we are doing all this, grouping all these different things in one thing. When I came to the exhibition, it came very clear to me what we did. Imagine the journalist who wrote the story, it was not clear for him exactly the whole picture or the whole thing till the moment he saw it in the exhibition. So if we have this powerful storytelling to reproduce our stories, to reach larger audience, to have more impact, to reach different social, different kind of audience, youth, old, environmentalist, student. This is great. And we need to tell the story, and we need to use any way to tell it, and this is a good way.
So thank you for reflecting on the journey already. You take already quite a bit of the journey. We will see some of the journey on the past also on the background later. But this brings me actually to Billy Tzach. You're a teacher at the Faculty of Nonlinear Narrative. I'm very happy that you're here on stage with us. I think nonlinear narrative is a really terrible word to translate in Arabic. Sorry for the translations. But I came to you as a design school that is trying to innovate in The Hague. Why is such a project with investigative journalists on the topic of climate change really a non-linear narrative topic?
Thank you, Boris. I would like to first say hi to my colleagues who are not here from the department, Niels Schader and Lauren Alexander and Rosie Heinrich, who have been part of this project from the beginning. So nonlinear narrative is part of the Royal Academy of Art, and it's an art school and design school. And what we are doing is really focusing on applied practices of art and design. And you see alumni of the academy on the stage at this moment, and they're part of the exhibition. What the department specifically does and aims to do is to bring its students in contact with different organizations, that art and design can do something in the world with world matters and issues. And in that sense, investigative journalism is a very, very important field that we are super happy to collaborate with. And it's something that is in our lineage as well. The department has been collaborating with different organizations, different NGOs, on climate matters, but also different activists. So for us, it's really important to bring art and design and other disciplines together so that our students and alumni can practice their skills, their methodologies, their strategies, bringing the artistic and design strategies to investigative journalists, to activists. And we work with several NGOs throughout the years. Every year our students are collaborating with different NGOs and doing projects. And it's specifically an important project because climate is an issue, is a current issue for us, for the world, for our department, and in the arts and design world. And how can we bring these skills? And the investigative journalists have done their research and their amazing research, and how can we come together and we learn and we gain a lot from these researchers as well. It's not that art and design gives to the investigative journalism only. It's not one way, but the art and design learns and also gains a lot from investigative journalists. So the projects go to another level. It's not 1+1, but we see results, and you will see results. Some of you have seen the results downstairs. The stories become tangible. They become embodied. They become communicating in ways that goes beyond what we could in art and design schools do, and what different disciplines could do by themselves. So this interdisciplinary approach is definitely the key in our department. Thank you.
Thank you, Birlit, for giving the angle and why the enthusiasm. And I'm very happy that this collaboration could have been established together with ARIJ. So we reveal already that there is an art exhibition really on the coffee corner on the other side on -2. Don't go now, go later. Before we are going into the different stories and the different views, I would like to actually ask Julius. You are a graduate of the Royal Academy of Arts. You have a partner in crime that could not be with us on the stage today, unfortunately, Soraya. But you have put everything together. You designed the exhibition. Can you tell me a little bit about how it is to set up an exhibition here and what was important for you? And what are the takeaways? What do you want the audience later also to take with them back when they have seen the exhibition?
Thank you, Boris. So I'm Julius, and together with my partner Soraya, we designed the exhibition for around 3 stories. And for us, it was really important to, in a way, become like this. We got this mediating role between ARIJ and also the artists, as we had to keep track of all the requirements, both the artists and also of ARIJ. So we got this sort of social role, which we try to fulfill. So the starting point of the exhibition, of course, were the three stories, and also the general overarching theme of the climate crisis. So we basically designed an exhibition that will be totally made out of reusable or reused materials. And then a part of it we would make back home in Amsterdam. And we basically designed it in a way that we could take it in 2 big suitcases. So everything is sort of adjusted to the size of these suitcases. And then for us, it was really fun and also a great experience that we could see how ARIJ communicated with us and also how different we are used to working with artists. And that we got this role of the in between these 2 groups. It was fun to find a way to sort of glue everything together. So to make sure that we sort of to find a way how these different worlds could actually become more entangled, and that they didn't stay like these 2 separate worlds in a way.
Thank you, Julius. And I must say that it is quite amazing how everything is hanging, laying, and to put dirt on a 5-star hotel floor. Sorry for this. We will clean it up. Thank you so much. I think now I would like to invite you to, we have prepared a couple of videos, short videos to introduce each story. So I would like to introduce, if it's possible, the first video so that we can discuss and share with you the first story with you.
I'm Ahmad Ashur. I'm working as a coach at ARIJ, and actually we are working now on the story about falcons and the smuggle of the falcons and the impact of climate change on the falcons. How can the climate change impact the immigration routes of the falcons who are coming from Europe through our countries to South Africa?
I would say I'm a designer and a writer, and I also run a publishing house which focuses on introducing other than human perspectives in news. And I think that's also what I largely bring to this project, to try to step into the mind of this falcon and to see what they feel and to use this to explain this story.
I'm Jan-Johan Brijstra. I'm a designer and an artist. I was really excited to work with ARIJ because I think it's a relatively new field to explore. It's a nice way to show how art can be related to support the journalistic field in order to show maybe other aspects of the story and to get it more to get more public also to the project.
Jan-Johan, I don't need to introduce you anymore, but you are a designer and an artist, and you have collaborated together with Daan Veerman, who's hopefully watching from the Netherlands through the Zoom, so that he can be with us. But together you have prepared this project together with Ahmad Ashur. You collaborated quite intensively. My question to you is, this story was about illegal trade of falcons. How did you manage to incorporate the climate angle in that story, and what kind of approach came out of it? And can you tell us a little bit more to that storytelling layer related to the climate change?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think there has already been a lot said in the video which was showed. But what I can say about the climate angle of this story is that, for example, the falcon stays in his breeding ground a longer period. So we wanted to show that also on the visualizations which we made in the exhibition. and we wanted to show in a way how we can convey the migration routes with the video evidence. So we have the complete story in the installation which we made. And that is what I think is really nice about an art project, that you can have one look and you see the whole story immediately.
And if you now look at the journey that you've gone through in this project, do you have some practical tips that you could give back also to journalists who are working on complicated climate-related stories, or stories that do not indirectly have a climate layer into it?
I still think this is a relatively new field. So I would encourage to work with the artists together. I think it's great because we can learn from each other. I think artists also look in a different angle on certain stories. So I would say that it can bring the story also to a new level. And yeah, artists are also in general, they can also, for example, choose a different medium. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Maybe before we go to the second story, if there are online questions, please ask them. If there are questions later on, also from the audience, keep them. And at the end of the session, there's ample space to also ask questions to our panelists. Let's move on to the second story.
I'm Ithar. I'm a journalist and a coach. I work for ARIJ. The story is talking about wasted funds that could be used to make better water projects that collect water in a very poor area, rural area, where people depend on farming to put food on the table and to have their income.
My name is Nelleke. I'm a designer and visual researcher. Of course, it's a story about corruption and climate change, but it's also, I was mostly focused on or interested in the role of women in this area. I don't see myself as a solution maker or something. I'm just here because maybe I can see it from a different perspective.
This project is a cooperation between the designers, artists, and the journalists, and this is very interesting. I was excited that I'm going to wear the goggle of an artist for the first time and see things in a different way that I used to. I think this is the most important part.
And Nelleke, thank you for also participating in this journey. You collaborated with Ithar on the story. It was presented really as a story that goes more in the direction of investigating wrong use of climate finance and corruption of suboptimal use of funding. So why did you choose to take the gender angle within the story? What was the added layer to it, and what was your motivation to do so?
I think for me, when I hear a story, and also when I hear this story, I was thinking about what I'm always trying to find the gender perspective in it, like how this is affecting women. I do this in almost all my work. And I found out that there was so less data provided for what the specific situation for women is, but also that they are most vulnerable in this situation because they are not the owners of the land. They are mostly temporary workers, while they are the main providers for their families. And they have the least safe position in finding ways to
take care of their family financially. So I thought in this whole project where the whole area suffers, all the farmers suffer, women have an extra layer of suffering because they have no security in farming, because they are not the owners but only temporary workers.
Hey, and when you take on this project and you develop it and you try to develop an approach, this is your first time in Jordan, and I heard that you like it, so it's a wonderful thing that you're here. But before, in the summertime, you didn't come here before, and you don't know really the context of the women that are here. How did you overcome these cultural barriers, or how did you get the things right in a way to make sure that the cultural complexities are well addressed?
For that, it's the collaboration. So ARIJ was for a huge help of that, because of course I'm an outsider. I don't know what is right and what is wrong and how to approach this. So ARIJ was from a huge help. So we discussed the project, and she told me all about it. And also, therefore, in my project, I don't use the actual faces of the women, so also to protect them a bit. But I reconstructed the faces by making collage, and so it's a way to tell their story with them being present, but also not being present in the sense of like that you have to show their faces. Most of the time when I see journalistic stories, it's mostly interviews and you see people's faces or they are on camera, and if that is not what is preferred, then you need to think of other ways to tell the story. And this is how I try to do this time.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the reflection. I think we will move on now to the third story already.
So the story is about wildfires in Morocco. The journalist's name is Yasser Makhtoum. He's an investigative journalist. He worked previously with ARIJ on different investigations. I'm Munir Al-Khatib. I'm a Lebanese journalist living in Amman. I'm ARIJ editor. Here I'm working on a story about wildfires that are eating forests in North Africa.
I'm Hattie Wade. I'm a research-based designer and filmmaker. One of the things we found interesting about the story is that these fires are obviously a huge contributor to climate change, producing emissions, but at the same time, they're used as a narrative saying that they're produced as a product of climate change, when in fact a lot of them are man-made.
I'm Sophie Gzish. I'm a graphic designer and visual artist. I think it's super interesting to, in this type of collaboration, really open to another field, like not only to talk to the art bubble or to the art world, and really extend toward people that are also looking at this topic but from a different angle, and see where this can meet and what we can say with all these skills and brains together.
I'm Cristina Lavosi. I'm an Italian research-based visual artist and video maker. What I find very strong is this cross-cultural collaboration, as we as designers come from different backgrounds, but also we are collaborating with journalists that come from an environment where we don't really know much about, and that is very enriching for us to get to know better their perspectives.
Thank you. So welcome, Sophie and Hattie. Of course, we also have Cristina Lavosi. He's sitting with us, who's part of our project, who's taking pictures. Well, lovely. But I just wanted to reflect a little bit on the process, because we can dive into the story and people, they will come and see the exhibition and they will see the results. But I actually wanted to come more to the practical side of the collaboration and how in your experience working with investigative journalists in this project, what is your ideas, reflection on the process, and what are your practical tips how these collaborations could work more effectively? Maybe Hattie, can you kick off?
In our case, we had a data story from our journalists, and it was still ongoing, the investigation. It hadn't quite finished. And there were aspects we were interested in as well. Like we did our own kind of artistic research alongside. But I think we wanted to pay particular importance to the journalism that was done. And what was solid, what we had was really the data of these fires. So we were, the main structure we wanted to put was the data, but how could we make this more tangible, more emotive, to hit on kind of different senses and references, and then at the same time tie into the structure our the additional parts to the story, such as this law that dates back to 1917, which is the only law that protects the forests in Morocco. That comes from the French period of protection of Morocco. So
maybe,
you can take over.
Yeah, maybe Sophie, can you add maybe on this?
Yeah, of course. I think what is...
you have sound. Well,
Hello. Yeah, I think what was very nice for us to keep in mind throughout the whole process was that this collaboration together was something I wanted to see as a case study more than finding a perfect solution, because it's such a such a big field that can be explored. There is so much that can be done. There are plenty ways to storytell, these amazing investigations that are being done, and the amount of work that is there behind this story is incredible. And it's all about finding a way to give access to these stories, and maybe to find what Hattie was talking about, how to find the emotion in there, or how to find some entry point to then connect the all investigative work that is being done with the people that have maybe limited attention time, or that are in a hurry, or that are already overwhelmed with images on the everyday basis. So how can we find a way through? And I think that was the main thing for us in all this, in the discussion we had as well.
And we wanted to make sure that we...
You don't have to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, is it bad? Oh, yeah. We because it was already kind of set that this would be an installation, an exhibition as well. So we were thinking, how can we take a viewer through these different steps? Like we wanted to work kind of with this strong imagery of fire, but without showing the fire and the destruction itself. And that's how we came up with using these ashes, like in this period of reflection after the fire is done. What can be looked at? What can be taken from that? What can be learned? So we wanted to be, this main structure you see when you walk in, and there are elements that are more hidden, such as there's some papier mâché we did of this law, and the diagrams are things that contribute to the government negligence in protecting these forests that can only be properly, like you kind of notice them, but it's only when you watch the video for more context that they're given this meaning. And thank you to Yassir as well, who conducted two interviews that we were able to use in the video as well, because we thought it was important that it didn't remain so abstract, that we actually heard and saw from people who were affected by one of the biggest fires in the region that is experiencing the most fires in Morocco.
Yeah, and that brings me actually to maybe some of your observations on the limitations this kind of collaborations have. What kind of obstacles do you face, or do you envision also when you do this kind of, and how do you overcome it actually?
Yeah,
maybe Sophie, you can, or...
Yeah, I think, hello? Sound?
You get a voice, I know.
Is there some? Yeah. I think it's very interesting and challenging, of course, because we come from two different fields looking at one topic, and we each count on each other for this story to unfold. And there is, I guess, a lot of attention to pay to the timing, to when our information coming in, and when how we can create this bridge. And when for me, I think one of the thing that is that needs to be paid attention to in terms of an organization that would work with similar project maybe is to really lay a timing that allows for both brainstorming, creation moment of reflection, moment of back and forth, moment of production, and that all this takes a time that is very hard to foresee in advance. And that's a challenge that comes regularly in many projects in the end. But yeah, I think that's maybe one point that needs always attention. And for the rest, it's all about being a team together with people that come from different fields and trusting each other and trusting on the expertise of each other. I think it's great. It's super. I love collaborations like this. So.
Yeah, thank you so much. And maybe now, actually, to round this discussion up before we open up the floor, hopefully there will be at least one question, but otherwise they can be posed also at the exhibition site later on. Actually, and I will start with Munir. If you, what will be your dream actually after this happens and we are walking out of this door? It is Tuesday in a couple of days' time. What would you like to happen afterwards? What is your dream for us to do after this exhibition?
My dream is quite developing now because now I'm just understanding the things you did by transforming these investigative stories into art. And now in the news agenda, climate is not a priority. If there's no blood, there's no news. Today, COP is commencing in Dubai, and I don't think in the major news channels, at least in the Middle East, there's tiny news about it. So people are more anxious about news and they are avoiding news. So if we have a new way of telling the climate crisis, putting it in a way that people start to have more interest in this, I think this is something great. And it's not a dream, it's obligation. And to move this new storytelling way or technique, not only the art installation, maybe in social media. Our team in communication, they did a nice social media story about the art installation. So this story is being reproduced in different manners and formats. So this is great. And we can keep the climate on the agenda, not forgotten. And this is obligation for all of us.
Can I invite somebody else to share a dream for after this?
Yeah.
Hattie?
Yeah, I think, I don't know, you see kind of these, for me, like an organization that from my understanding, that put journalism and art together was forensic architecture. And that was something that could also then exist in a courtroom. And I think what we did here is different to that in the sense that it's really art, like an art installation that can allow for experimentation and different formats. And I think, to me, I kind of see it as a new emerging field, and it's been amazing to work with investigative journalists. Like I wish I was also trained as a journalist so I could, put all of that work into art as well. But
I'm sure.
Yeah, but it was an amazing experience, and yeah, I hope that this could continue in different aspects and projects like this continue to happen, because I think all of us are really heavily grounded. Before this experience, we were all heavily grounded in contemporary social political research for our projects anyway. So to really be able to work with these new stories and present them in another way is amazing. So the dream has already begun.
Thank you. Somebody else would like to share a dream to close?
Oh yeah, question.
A question?
There was a question.
Oh, then come up, pose the question. Here's a mic.
The microphone.
Then we can
Hi, my name's Craig. I come from South Africa, where I investigate things around climate change. And I just want to thank all of you for your work on these projects. I only saw them, luckily, an hour before the session, and they were wonderful. And I firmly believe that we need much more of this kind of thing around the world, using art to try and, doing art, motivating people, including around these kinds of issues that can be hard to motivate people on. I have a I hope more pointed question though. So in my investigations, we try and hold to account actors that would, basically oil and gas companies, try to embarrass them into causing them to stop meddling, obstructing, delaying, pretending. And seeing as we're in this region, I'm thinking about Saudi Aramco and ADNOC and Qatar Petroleum and companies like that, which generally seem to be quite hard to embarrass and to influence, yet they have a really, really big impact on the world, not only through their emissions and all of our emissions, those of us who are buying their products, which are all of us, but also through their actions in negotiating forums, and they've been accused of delaying and obstructing and so on. The UAE stepped into the spotlight this year with COP. Like they gave some investigative opportunities. Qatar did last year with the FIFA World Cup. Saudi Aramco seems very difficult. What kind of stories, if any, can we tell, can we investigate to try to hold these kinds of companies and their networks to account, to try and cause them to be less unhelpful? Or is that a fool's errand? I'm asking, what can we investigate and who might our audience be and what would that audience want to hear? I'm drawing blanks a lot of the time and I'm wondering if there are any great ideas in the room. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your comment and appreciation, and also opening up a discussion, a genuine discussion on that we as investigative journalists should discuss amongst ourselves to how to increase accountability for actions that big polluters are undertaking. And maybe maybe we can have a discussion when the panel is over, because we're running out of time and I don't want to be shooted out of this chair. So let's continue after the conversation. But one thing that I can tell you is the reason why we did this exhibition is that we wanted actually to bring this to the COP28. We have not a plan B, but a better plan A. And that was the exhibition here, because it could really benefit and inspire journalists here at the ARIJ Forum. But I just want to tell you that all these stories, these 3 stories, have been recorded in a video cast that will be broadcasted at the COP28 in Dubai, where we hope to get some kind of accountability out of the stories that have been done. So the first story can be found on the 9th of December. So yeah, it will be on the platform. We don't have time. We have done a partnership with them. It will be shown there, and we hope that bringing investigative pieces to places such as the COP can increase some kind of level of accountability. But I have to tell you that a lot more needs to be done. I would like to thank you all, basically also the audience, for taking, I don't want to abuse your time. It was a true wonderful journey. I was a bit nervous at the start, I have to say, speaking out loud here. But you are a very warm and wonderful audience. And I would like to invite actually Etar, Christina, Ashur, everybody that's worked in this project to come together here on stage, and maybe we have a group photo together. And I see you later after at the exhibition at -2. Thank you so much.